Next question. Nick says, Dutch, have you ever worked with the Patriot before? Any stories about him? Thanks. Wilkes, I think.
Del Wilkes. I did work with him. Good guy. He played football for the University of South Carolina. He talked about that a little bit. But I think he should have been more successful than what he was. Had a great look under the hood. I didn't like the Patriot gimmick that much.
Why not?
I just didn't. It was
too hokey or too regionalized.
Well, I think he should have took. Well, I just didn't like it. I didn't think there was any money in it. Now, if you'd have gave him another name and another look, I think he would have done something. But I'm trying to remember. He was on a show with me one time. I got to tell some of these people, some of these independent shows you make, because I was living in Nashville, and this show was I even forgot where it was, up north, either in Kentucky or Indiana somewhere. And I went up, and it was like a little convention and a show that night. It was in a school. So we went in, and I guess they had like 10 vendors there, but it was just guys who were working the show. So we could have put the same stuff up during the show and not had to been there early. So went in there, and Ole Anderson was there. Trying to remember. One Man Gang was there. I think Barry Horowitz was there. Arn Anderson was there, and a few more. But I forgot, I asked he told me what I would go there for, so I gave him a price, and I said, I got to have half of it up front. Good thing I asked him that, because that night, the house was just horrible. As we say in the wrestling business, the shits. No, it wasn't that good. So it come time for him to start paying the guys, and no money came. But see, I already had half my money, so plus I'd sold some gimmicks. So I had a pretty good day, but he only gave me half my money. So I remember I walked in, and they had the guy. It was Arn and Gang and somebody else. They had him jacked up on the wall like this. They grabbed him here and yanked him up. We want our money, and blah, 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 blah. And what he'd done, he thought the house was going to pay it, but there was nobody there. He didn't have the money. And they were going to beat the crap out of him. They called the police and everything. So finally it got worked out that he's going to mail the money. We had no choice. Mail the money. Paul Orndorff, Orndorff was there. I remember that. And we had to go down to the police station. It was a mess. And we filed a suit, and they got a lawyer. He paid the money. He had to. Because he was ordered to, but they were going to beat the shit out of this guy.
And Patriot was one of them.
And I don't know.
He was.
Patriot was one of them. He had him jacked up too. Sure did. And he was mad. And Arn was mad. I forgot where they'd come from. I think Arn was working for WWE at the time. And I think he was still living in Charlotte. And I don't know how. I know he didn't drive over there. That's too far. He probably flew over, and probably the Patriot did too. It wasn't too far for me. So, but they didn't get half their money before they went. They was depending on get their money then. And he didn't run any more shows. He didn't. So that's good.
The Patriot's a funny one because, as you said, he probably should have been a bigger star than he was, because it seems like for the most of his career he was a tag team guy, even though he was like 6'4" and great body. And
I don't know if he's that tall, but he looked great.
Yeah,
he really did. Who did he team with?
Buff
Or was it the
Bagwell
Patriots?
No. He seemed to Buff Bagwell for a while in WCW in the early 90s. I think he was called the Trooper in the AWA. And anyway, he ends up in the WWF for his big shot, and he makes it 3 months before he tears his triceps and then retires. And I wanted to ask you this. Have you ever heard of Tom Brandy, who had done the Patriot gimmick on the independent scene for years after Del Wilkes had retired? And he'd always claimed that he had bought the gimmick rights from Del. And then Del came out years later and said, no, he didn't. I never sold the rights to the gimmick to anybody. But he was apparently so deep in drug addiction at the time, he'd never noticed. And at some point in the future, apparently Honky Tonk Man had bought the rights to the Patriot gimmick. And he may even still have them for all I know.
Honky Tonk Man?
Apparently so. Didn't know he was an investor in that way.
Honky Tonk Man ain't buying breakfast from Waffle House. He can get out of it. That's the tightest guy I've ever seen. One of them, tight guy. So he I don't think he'd do it, and he wouldn't. Why would he buy the gimmick of the Patriot? He was Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man, a lot more over than damn Patriot guy.
Well, maybe he was going to do some independence, and he wanted to put the Patriot character on somebody he was working with. So he was like taking a second around with him all the time. And that's why he ended up, quote unquote, buying the
I don't
character.
think you can. How could you copyright the Patriot? It's a name. It's in common usage. I don't know. I guess you could do it. But like We the People, I was selling some We the People shirts one time. Somebody said, you can't do that. So well, WWE owns it. I said, no, they don't own We the People. We the People's in the Constitution. It's in the common domain that, or the public domain. You can use it.
It's quite big. The writing at the top as well, isn't it?
We the People.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be any font or size you want it to be, but you can't take that. That belongs to everybody.